The city was a wet mouth. It chewed streetlights into syrup. It swallowed footsteps. It spat them out as echoes in alleys that never learned mercy. Rain stitched the skyline together with grey thread. Rain made the asphalt shine like a fresh bruise. Rain turned the air into a cold drink that tasted like metal and old smoke. I had once been a detective, a real one, badge, gun, notebook full of names that did not deserve ink. I left it behind, like a coat that still smelled of someone else's fear. The department called it burnout. The newspapers called it scandal. My friends called it silence. I called it breathing again. Now I worked private jobs, quiet jobs, missing phones, stolen pets, a cheating husband or two. The kind of cases that ended in apologies and broken plates, not body bags. The kind that let you sleep if you were lucky and numb. I thought I had built a smaller world. Then my wife started coming home smelling like rain when it had not rained. It is a small thing, a petty thing, a note in the margin. But small things are how rot announces itself. A slow sweetness, a hairline crack, a whisper behind a door. Her name was Eliza. She used to smell like my apartment did when we first met. Lavender soap, warm fabric, coffee that had been poured too fast. That smell had made my shoulders loosen, made my hands forget how to curl into fists. Then, little by little, her scent changed. It became sharper, cleaner, not soap. Something chemical, something like hospital corridors and fresh ink, like new leather, like money that had not been washed. It clung to her scarf, it hovered in her hair. It lived in the seam of her coat. I noticed because I was trained to notice, because I was built out of questions, because love makes you blind, but it does not remove your nose. That night she came in late, past midnight. The lock turned with care, quiet as guilt. The door opened a crack, like she was testing whether the room had teeth. I was on the couch. The television was on, with the sound down, some talk show, with bright smiles and dead eyes. She froze when she saw me. It lasted one heartbeat, just one, but it was enough. In her face I saw two versions of her. The one who belonged to home, and the one who had been someplace else. She smiled. It was her mouth. But it was not her smile. "You are still up," she said. Her voice was soft, too soft, like a glove over a blade. "I could not sleep," I said. That was true. It was also nothing. She walked into the light, droplets rolled from her coat to the floor. The drops sounded loud in the quiet room, each one a small confession. Her cheeks were pink from the cold, or from something else. "Work ran late," she said. She did not volunteer details. She used to. She used to come home and spill her day all over the kitchen table. Names, complaints, funny stories. The smell of office paper and cheap perfume from cow workers. The ordinary mess of a shared life. Now, she spoke in neat boxes, late, fine, tired. I watched her set her keys down. Then, carefully, like she was placing evidence. I watched her take off her scarf. Me, her hands moved fast, too practiced, fingers that knew the route. Her scarf was damp. It carried that new smell, that sharp, clean smell. "Not rain. You want tea?" she asked. She did not look at me, no. She nodded, like she had expected that answer, like she had rehearsed the scene. And my line was right. She walked past me toward the hallway. Her wet shoes left prints on the floor. Dark ovals that would fade. Everything fades. That is the city lesson. That is the marriage lesson too. She stopped at the bathroom door. She turned slightly, not fully. Enough to offer me the side of her face. "I am going to shower," she said. "Okay." She waited. For what? I did not know. Maybe she was listening for accusation. Maybe she was testing whether I still had sharp edges. Then, she disappeared into the bathroom. The door closed. The lock clicked. The lock was new. It had not been there last month. I stared at that door. It was just painted wood, but it looked heavier, like it had gained weight from secrets. The shower started. Water roared, a steady white noise. A curtain pulled across the world. I turned the television off. The room became darker. The rain outside tapped the window with patient fingers. The apartment smelled like wet carpet and old coffee, and under it, faint but persistent, that clean chemical note, like antiseptic, like a printer warming up, like a place where people sign their names to the end of other people's lives. He's a man. My stomach tightened. I told myself I was imagining things, that my brain was a dog that still chased old scents. That retirement does not leave quietly, it scratches at your door. I told myself I loved her. That love was trust. Then the bathroom door opened, and she stepped out wrapped in a towel. Her skin was pink. Her hair hung wet and dark around her face. She smiled again. It looked better this time. It even reached her eyes, but her eyes looked tired. Not tired like work, tired like performance. You should come to bed, she said, in a minute. She nodded. She walked to the bedroom. Her bare feet made no sound. The bedroom door closed. It did not lock, not yet. I sat in the darkness and listened to rain. I listened to the building, pipes, distant music, a neighbor, coughing like a broken engine, a siren far away, fading like hope. I listened for my own breathing. It was shallow, like I was hiding in my own house. I rubbed my face. My palms smelled faintly of cigarette smoke from the street, and something else, something sharp, like the scent from her scarf had smeared onto me through the air. I stood up. The floor was cold under my feet. I walked to the little table by the door. Her keys were there. My keys were there. 2 sets, 1 life. I picked up her keys. A heavy ring. A small key for the mailbox. A silver key for the door. A key for the gym. A plastic fob with a corporate logo, and 1 key I did not recognize. It was brass, clean, newly cut. The grooves sharp. It was not for our building. I held it close. I did not smell it. That would have been too intimate, too pathetic, but I did it anyway. It smelled like cold metal, and a faint trace of that antiseptic note. A place of elevators, a place of polished floors, a place that wanted to look clean. I put the keys back, exactly where she left them. I did it without thinking. Muscle memory, evidence handling, respect for the scene. Then I went to the bedroom. She was in bed on her side, facing away. Her phone was on the nightstand. Screen down, charging, a thin cord like a leash. In the old days, I would have picked it up. I would have checked messages. I would have crawled through her life with a flashlight. But this was not a case. This was my marriage. I lay down beside her. The mattress dipped. She did not move, but her breathing changed, just a fraction. She was awake. I stared at the ceiling. The city light painted faint bars across it. Like a prison shadow, the smell in the bedroom was clean. Too clean. She had changed the sheets. That happens. People tidy when they feel dirty. I spoke softly into the darkness. Everything okay? I asked. Yes, she said quickly. Too quickly. Her voice was muffled by the pillow. It sounded far away. It sounded like she was speaking from a different room, a different life. I let silence settle between us. Outside, rain kept falling. In the dark, I found myself remembering other nights. Interrogation rooms, confessions that came out in pieces. People who lied with the same patterns. The quick answers, the avoidance, the sudden new lock, the sudden new cleanliness. I did not want to be right. That is the cruelest part. The part no one tells you. In detective work, you chase the truth, because truth is your job. In love, you chase the truth, because your heart refuses to accept it until it breaks its own teeth. I closed my eyes. I tried to sleep. I dreamed of a hallway that smelled like antiseptic and roses rotting in water. When morning came, the rain had not stopped. It never stopped in this city. Not really. Even on sunny days, you could feel the wet memory in the air. The city sweated. Eliza woke before me, or pretended to. She moved quietly. She got dressed fast. She wore a blouse that buttoned up to her throat. She kissed my forehead. A quick press, light, almost not there. I have an early meeting, she said. Where? I asked. I kept my tone neutral, smooth, casual. Like a man asking what kind of bread she wanted. She hesitated. Just a fraction. Downtown, she said. Client meeting. She reached for her bag. Her nails clicked on the zipper pull. I watched her hands. People think. Lies live in words. Lies live in the hands, in the shoulders, in how someone decides where to put their eyes. Moo, do you want me to pick you up later? I asked. No, she said, too fast again. I will take the metro. She smiled. She added something to soften it. It is easier. Easier than telling the truth. Easier than being seen. She left. The door clicked shut. The sound lingered. A tiny gunshot in the hallway of my mind. I sat up. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet, it smelled like her perfume. Faint now, like a memory already leaving. And beneath it, that clean, sharp scent. I went to the kitchen. The kettle was still full from yesterday. She had not made tea after all. I stared out the window. Cars moved like black fish through the rain. Pedestrians hunched under umbrellas that looked like bruised wings. My reflection stared back at me. From the glass, a man, in his late 30s, unshaven, eyes that had seen too much, and still wanted to see less. I did not want to do it. I did it anyway. I grabbed my coat. I grabbed my old notebook from the drawer. The one I told myself I kept for grocery lists. It still had the habit of crimes in its spine. I left the apartment. The hallway smelled like damp concrete and someone else's fried food. The elevator smelled like perfume and wet wool. Outside, rain hit my face like cold fingers. I stood under the awning and watched for her. She came out of the building with her umbrella already open. Black, simple, the kind you buy when you do not plan to stay long. She walked fast, head down, shoulders tense. I stayed back. I followed. I kept a distance that was not suspicious but not too far. The old dance, the two-step of the betrayed. She crossed the street with the light. She did not look around. She was confident. That meant she thought she was safe. At the corner, she stopped. She checked her phone. Her thumb moved fast. She typed. She waited. A car pulled up. Not a taxi. A dark sedan. Clean. Expensive. The sort of car that smelled like leather and power. The passenger window slid down. I did not see the driver clearly. Just a silhouette. A hand on the wheel. Pale. Eliza leaned in. She smiled. A real smile this time. I felt it like a hit to the ribs. She got into the passenger seat. The car drove off. I stepped forward and rain filled my mouth. I flagged a cab. The driver looked at me in the mirror. He had tired eyes in this city. Everyone had tired eyes. Even the street lights follow that sedan, I said. My panels. He did not ask questions, like he just nodded. Billboards screaming in probably colour, heard pretending worse, the world was not or dying. He had learned the sedan not to care. Crossed the cab into the financial district. Rain smeared the windshield. Bright lobbies, wipers, private security, time like a heart, places where the floors were significant other. Polished, the sedan see your conscience slide across 2 cars ahead. It slowed at a garage entrance. We turned 2. A barrier lifted, folded in grey. The sedan disappeared into the building. Like a secret swallowed. Stop here. I told the driver. I paid. I stepped out into the rain. I stood across the street from the garage entrance. Cars flowed past, hissing, throwing water. The air smelled like exhaust and wet stone. Like old money, I watched the garage. I waited. That is the job, that is the curse. At last, the barrier lowered again. The garage entrance became a mouth that had finished eating. I looked up at the building, a corporate name in steel letters, too bright, too clean. I did not know it, but I knew the smell now. Antiseptic, fresh ink, new leather. Place where someone wanted to stay invisible. I stepped into the lobby. Warm air hit me. It smelled of citrus cleaner and expensive cologne. The floor shone like black ice. People moved through the space without seeing each other. Security desk sat like a judge. I walked past it like I belonged. The guard looked up. I smiled the kind of smile that said I was supposed to be here. People believe confidence it is a cheap trick, and it works too often. The elevators were in the back. A row of chrome doors. I stood near a column and pretended to check my phone. I watched people. I watched badges. I watched briefcases. I watched a woman adjust her lipstick in the reflection of a marble wall. I watched the elevator numbers. Time passed. Then the elevator dinged. The doors opened. Eliza stepped out. She was not alone. A man walked beside her. Tall, dark coat. Hair neat. The kind of neat that costs money. His hand hovered near the small of her back, but did not touch. He said something. She laughed. Her laugh was the sound that used to live in our kitchen. It used to fill my chest with warmth. Now, it sounded like someone else had stolen my furniture. They walked toward the lobby cafe, toward a corner table, with privacy and soft light. Toward a place where secrets felt like romance. I stayed behind the column. My hands were steady. My heart was not. I watched him lean in, too close, close enough that his breath would be on her cheek, close enough that he would know her scent. Her phone lit up. She glanced at it. She did not pick it up. She left it face down. A choice. He placed a small envelope on the table between them. White, plain, too formal for a lover, too careful. Eliza touched it with 2 fingers, like it might burn. Then she slid it into her bag. I did not hear their words. The lobby had music, a soft jazz thing, a saxophone crying politely. But I saw her face. I saw fear. Not the fear of a woman caught cheating. The fear of a woman who owed something and was running out of time. They stood. He said something again. She nodded. He did not hug her. He did not kiss her. He did not touch her at all. He just looked at her, like she was an object he had purchased on credit. Then he walked away. Eliza stayed still for a moment. Her hand went to her throat. She swallowed. Then she lifted her chin and walked to the elevators again. On her way, she passed close to me, significant other close. I could smell her. Not lavender, not home, antiseptic, ink, leather, and something else underneath. A faint sweetness, like flowers left too long in water. Like something dying, but trying to smell beautiful. The elevator doors closed behind her. I stood in the lobby with the smell of her in my lungs. My world did not crack. It shifted, like a building settling into a sinkhole. I left the lobby. Outside, the rain waited for me like a sentence. I walked without purpose for a block. 2 blocks. My head was full of dull thunder. I needed clarity. I needed a first step that was not madness. Old rules surfaced. Do not confront. Not yet. Collect facts. Find pattern. Identify leverage. I was not proud of myself for thinking that way, but pride is a luxury. It is for people whose hearts are intact. I went to a small diner on a side street. A place with fogged windows and coffee that tasted like burnt regret. I sat in a booth. The vinyl seats squeaked under me. The sound was obscene in its normality. A waitress came by, tired hair tied back, eyes that knew too many stories. "Coffee?" she asked. Yes, she poured it. The stream was dark. The smell rose warm and bitter. I stared at the coffee. A black pool, a mirror. In it, I saw the brass key again, the new lock, the envelope, the man. I did not know his name, but I knew the district. I knew the building. I knew the smell. I opened my notebook. The paper was damp from the rain in my coat. The ink pen felt heavy in my hand. I wrote the building name. I drew a box around it. I wrote, envelope, brass key, new lock. Then I wrote, why fear? My phone buzzed. A message from Eliza. I will be late, dinner without me. No apology, no details, just a clean sentence. Like antiseptic. Like a scalpel line. I stared at the screen. The coffee cooled. In the diner, the jukebox played something sad and old. The singer sounded like she was bleeding into the microphone. I thought of the envelope. I thought of what she wanted. Every person wants something. That is how you catch them. That is how you ruin them too. Eliza had wanted a child once. We had talked about it in that tender way couples do, when they still believe the future is a friendly place. Names, colors of blankets, tiny shoes. Then my career imploded. Then my sleep became a war. Then the idea of bringing something innocent into my darkness felt like cruelty. We postponed. We always postponed. Time does not like to be postponed. I had told myself she understood. Now, I wondered if she had simply learned to hunger in silence. I finished my coffee. It tasted like burnt wood and resignation. I stood up. Rain rattled the window. The city waited, and somewhere in this megapolis, my wife carried a sealed envelope like a small bomb. I was going to find out what was inside. Not because I wanted to punish her, because I needed to know which part of my life had already died, and because some part of me, old and rusted and stubborn, still remembered how to build a case. I stepped back into the rain. The streets shone, the city breathed, and I followed the scent of antiseptic and rotting flowers into the day. The rain followed me like a debt. It soaked my coat. It slicked the sidewalks. It pressed the city into a single grey note that would not resolve. I walked, because standing still felt like surrender. I walked, because motion keeps the mind from screaming. The brass key stayed in my head. New metal sharp grooves, cut recently. Not copied from anything old. Beginning key. Keys mean doors. Doors mean rooms. Rooms mean secrets that believe they are safe. I went home. The apartment was empty, quiet. It smelled neutral now, the way places smell when they are pretending nothing happened. I closed the door behind me and stood still. I listened. Pipes, traffic, a distant siren, the building breathing. I went to the table by the door. Her keys were gone. Of course they were. I went to the bedroom. The bed was made, too neat, hotel neat. The pillows were placed like they had been instructed. Her nightstand drawer was closed. I opened it. Inside was the usual mess: lip balm, receipts, a book she had been reading slowly, birth control, pills in a white case. I stared at that case. I closed the drawer. I went to the bathroom. The mirror reflected a man I barely recognized. His eyes looked hollowed out, like someone had scooped something important from behind them. I splashed water on my face. The water smelled faintly of chlorine, clean, sterile. The smell again. I dried my face and went to the kitchen. Her bag was not there. She had taken everything she needed. I sat at the table. Old instinct whispered, "You already know where to start." I pulled out my laptop, the building, the financial district tower. Clean lines, private garage, corporate buildings have patterns. They pretend to be faceless, but they leave fingerprints everywhere. I searched tenant lists, corporate registries, shell companies stacked like paper cups. Nearly names that meant nothing. Then one did. A consulting firm, small, discreet, no public faces, no marketing, no website beyond a blank page and a phone number. The name was clinical, abstract, something with words like solutions, advisory, group, the kind of name that promised help while sharpening knives. I searched deeper. Ownership was buried, but not buried enough. One name surfaced again and again, like a body refusing to stay underwater. Marcus Hale. It was a strong name, balanced, the kind that belonged on a door with frosted glass. I stared at it. Hale, healthy, clean, whole. The irony was too neat. I leaned back in the chair. The wood creaked. My apartment felt smaller, like the walls had moved closer while I was gone. I closed my eyes. Memory rose. The lobby. The man beside her, tall, controlled. A coat that cost more than my monthly rent. Hands that did not fidget. That was him, Marcus Hale. I opened my eyes. I looked him up properly. He was careful. That was the first thing. Careful people do not leave trails. They leave suggestions, business magazines, panels, charitable boards, photos with politicians and doctors, and people whose smiles were professionally trained. No scandals, no divorces, no arrests. The kind of man who paid other people to take risks. The kind of man who believed the world was a series of transactions. I checked his age, mid-40s. Old enough to know better, young enough to think he was untouchable. I checked addresses, office downtown, residential address uptown, a high-rise near the river, glass balconies, private security, a place where the water below reflected light like broken mirrors. I sat there for a long time. The rain kept time against the window. I thought about Eliza, about fear in her eyes, about the envelope, about what kind of consulting firm met married women in secret and sent them home pale. This was not an affair. This was a contract. I shut the laptop. I needed something physical. Something that grounded me. I went to the closet. At the back, behind winter coats and boxes of old life, was a shoebox. Inside were things I had promised myself I would never use again. A small digital recorder, old but reliable. A compact camera, a pair of gloves, a notebook that smelled like old paper and cigarette smoke. I sat on the floor and stared at them. Retired does not mean erased. I put the recorder and camera in my coat pocket. I left the apartment again. The city swallowed me whole. I took the metro uptown. The car was full of damp coats and tired faces. People clutched poles like lifelines. Everyone smelled like rain and resignation. At my stop, I surfaced into a neighborhood that pretended it did not know about pain. Wide sidewalks, trees trimmed into obedience, cafes with soft lighting, and names that whispered well. Marcus Hale lived in a building that did not announce itself. No flashy sign, no bright colors. Just stone and glass, and a quiet confidence that said, money did not need to shout. I stood across the street under a bare tree. Rain slid down the trunk in thin lines. The building entrance had a doorman. Middle-aged, straight posture, eyes alert but bored. I watched. Residents came and went. Umbrellas folded, keys flashed. Brief nods exchanged. Eliza did not appear. I did not expect her to. This was not about catching them together. This was about understanding the shape of the cage. I circled the block. The side entrance led to a private parking ramp, cameras, security keypad. No obvious weakness. The back opened onto the Riverwalk, locked. Badge access. Marcus Hale believed in control. That told me more than his name ever could. I returned to the front and walked past the building. I counted cameras, angles, blind spots. Old habits flexed. The doorman glanced at me. Just a glance, professional curiosity. I kept walking. I found a small coffee shop down the block, cheap place, loud espresso machine. Immense, fogged windows. I took a seat by the window. From here, I could see the building entrance without being obvious. I ordered coffee. It tasted like scorched beans and hope, abandoned too early. I waited. After 40 minutes, a black sedan pulled up. The same sedan. It parked at the curb. The engine idled. Marcus Hale stepped out. Up close, he looked exactly how he should. Clean shave, sharp jaw, eyes that measured everything and revealed nothing. He nodded to the doorman. The doorman smiled. Trust is a currency. Marcus Hale spent it freely. He entered the building. The sedan pulled away. I waited longer. Rain softened, turned to mist. People passed. Lives intersected briefly, then separated forever. I wondered where Eliza was. I wondered if she was sitting somewhere clean and bright, reading the contents of that envelope again and again, like a curse written in legal language. My phone buzzed. A message, "Can we talk tonight?" From Eliza. No punctuation, no softness, just a question that felt like a summons. Yes, I typed. I did not add anything else. I stayed until night fell. The building lights came on one by one, like eyes opening. Marcus Hale did not reappear. He probably did not leave by the front. Men like him had exits that were never seen. I paid and left. The city was darker now. The rain had slowed to a persistent drizzle. The streets glowed under streetlights like oil paintings. Left in the rain, I went home. Eliza was already there. She sat on the couch, hands folded in her lap, coat off, shoes lined up neatly by the door. Nye, she looked small. That scared me more than anything else. I closed the door. We stood there, the space between us heavy with unsaid things. "I need to tell you something," she said. Her voice shook. I waited. She swallowed. "I have been lying to you." I nodded. "I know," I said. The word landed between us like a dropped glass. Her eyes widened. Relief flashed. Then fear doubled. "How?" she asked. "I notice things," I said. She laughed once. A short, broken sound. "Of course you do." She stood. She paced. Her bare feet whispered against the floor. "I did not want it to be like this," she said. "I did not want to hurt you." "You already have," I said. She flinched. She turned to face me. Her eyes were wet, but not crying yet. "There is someone else," she said. I said nothing. "He is not what you think," she added quickly. "It is not romantic." "Then what is it?" I asked. She hesitated. Her hands clenched. Unclenched. "He is helping me," she said. The lie was almost convincing. "Almost? Helping you with what?" I asked. She looked away. "With something I want," she said. I felt something cold settle in my chest. "What do you want, Eliza?" I asked. She closed her eyes. "A child," she said. The word hung in the air like smoke. "I cannot wait anymore," she continued. "I am running out of time, you know that." I did know. I had chosen not to listen. "I did not want to force you," she said. "I did not want to leave you." "Significant other, you went to him," I said. Tears spilled, now, silent, heavy. "He has connections," she said. "Doctors, clinics, options." Options, the word tasted like poison. "And the envelope?" I asked. Her breath hitched. It is paperwork, she said. Agreements, consent forms. What kind of consent? I asked. She shook her head. You would not understand. I almost laughed. I understand contracts, I said. I understand leverage. I understand fear. She looked at me then, really looked. Then you know I am trapped. She whispered. I thought of Marcus Hale, his clean hands. His envelope, who is the father? I asked. She did not answer. I did not need her to. The silence answered for her. My heart did not explode. It calcified. You signed something, I said. Not yet, she said quickly. I am supposed to meet him again tomorrow. For what? I asked. Final approval, she said. After that, there is no going back. No going back. That was the phrase that ended things. I nodded slowly. I need time, she said. Please. Time. Everyone always wanted time after they had already spent it. Okay, I said. She stared at me, confused. You are not angry? She asked. I am tired, I said. It was the truth, a small one, a safe one. She moved toward me. She reached out, then stopped herself. I still love you, she said. I believed she believed that. I know, I said. She went to the bedroom. The door closed. It did not lock. I stood alone in the living room. The apartment smelled like her shampoo and old regret. I sat down. I stared at the wall. A child, that was what she wanted. That was the leverage. Marcus Hale thought he owned the path to that want. He thought contracts could replace souls. I thought of the old cases, of men who built prisons out of gifts, of women who accepted help that came with invisible chains. I took out my notebook. I wrote one line. Give her what she wants. Then, I underlined it. I did not yet know how, but I knew this. Whatever Marcus Hale was offering her, I could offer it too. In a form that would never let either of them sleep again. Outside, the rain started to fall harder. The city approved. Sleep did not come. It circled. It hovered. It refused to land. I lay on the couch with my eyes open, listening to the building breathe. Water, in pipes, elevators sighing, a laugh from somewhere above that died too quickly. The city never sleeps, it waits. At 3 a.m, I stood up, quiet, careful, like I was already trespassing. I went to the bedroom door. I did not open it. Some thresholds are crossed only once. I went to the kitchen. I poured a glass of water. The tap hissed, then settled. The water tasted clean, too clean, filtered, stripped of anything human. I set the glass down, untouched. The notebook lay open on the table. One line, underlined, give her what she wants. The words stared back at me, like an accusation. I picked up the recorder. I turned it on. The red light blinked, a heartbeat. I spoke quietly. Marcus Hale, consulting firm envelope, contract, clinic. Hearing it out loud made it real. I turned the recorder off at dawn. The rain eased. The sky lightened into a dirty grey that promised nothing. Eliza left early again. She moved softly. She did not wake me, or pretended not to. So, when the door closed, something inside me unlocked. I waited 10 minutes, then I moved. Her bag was by the chair this time. Careless, rushed. Inside it smelled like paper and perfume and fear. I did not dig. I do not rummage. Rummaging is emotional. This was work. I slid my hand into the side pocket. The envelope was there, white, thick paper, expensive, no return address. I sat at the table and opened it. Inside were documents, crisp, heavy, words laid out like a trap that smiled. I read slowly. This was not just medical consent. This was ownership. A private reproductive services agreement. The language was careful, polite, predatory. It spoke of discretion, of proprietary procedures, of donor anonymity. It spoke of obligations. Her obligations, regular check-ins, medical compliance, confidentiality, penalties for breach. Wow. The donor was listed as anonymous, but the clauses told a different story. Exclusive genetic material, exclusive rights, exclusive decisions. This was not about helping her have a child. This was about control, about building a human being who belonged to someone else before it took its first breath. I felt sick. I turned the page. There was a name on the clinic letterhead. Not Marcus Hale, someone else. Dr. Samuel Clean, Private Reproductive Medicine. A clinic address near the river, glass facade, water views, clean lines. Of course, I took photos of every page, careful, flat, no shadows. Then I put everything back, exactly as it had been. I zipped the bag. I sat there for a moment. My hands were steady. That scared me. I went out. The clinic was easy to find. It wanted to be found. It wanted the right people to find it. The building rose near the water, like a monument to cleanliness. White stone, tall windows, minimal signage. The river moved below, dark and patient. I walked inside. The air smelled like flowers that had never grown in dirt, chemical sweetness, layered over antiseptic. A receptionist looked up. Perfect hair, perfect smile. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I have an appointment," I said. "What name?" she asked. I gave her one, a name from an old case, a ghost. She typed. She frowned slightly. "I do not see it," she said. "I am early," I said. That smile flickered. "Please take a seat," she said. The waiting room was quiet. Soft music, chairs that did not squeak. Magazines no one read. On the wall hung abstract art, shapes that suggested life without showing it. A couple sat across from me, well-dressed, nervous, holding hands too tightly. Hope is loud when it is afraid. A door opened. A man stepped out. Dr. Samuel Clean, mid-50s, thin, calm, eyes like polished stones. "Mr. Carter," he called. "That was not my name." I stood anyway. He hesitated. "That is me," I said. He nodded. He believed me. Doctors believe authority as easily as anyone. His office was immaculate, desk clean, diplomas framed like shields. "How can I help you?" he asked. I sat. "I have questions about a contract," I said. His posture shifted, subtle, defensive. "Which contract?" he asked. I named it. "Private Reproductive Services Agreement." His face did not change, but his eyes hardened. "Those are confidential," he said. "Significant other is murder," I said. "People still commit it." He stared at me. "I am here as a concerned party," I said. "I want to understand the implications." "This clinic operates within the law," he said. "Then you will have no problem explaining it," I said. Silence stretched. The river outside moved. Finally he spoke. "The donor retains certain rights," he said carefully. "The mother agrees to certain conditions." "Ownership," I said. "That is not the term we use," he said. "That is the term I use," I said. He folded his hands. "Marcus Hale funds a significant portion of our research," he said. There it was. "And in return?" I asked. He did not answer. "Children," I said. "Tailored, controlled." "Opportunities," he said. I leaned forward. "What happens if she backs out?" I asked. "Financial penalties," he said. "Legal action." "And if she goes through with it?" I asked. He hesitated. "The child would be placed in a trust," he said. "Education, housing, care." "And the mother?" I asked. "Continued oversight," he said. "Nanny, oversight. A pretty word for a leash." I stood. "Thank you," I said. You should not interfere, he said. I already have, I said. Outside, the river smelled like rot and rain. I walked until my legs hurt. I understood now. Eliza was not cheating for passion. She was negotiating for a future. And Marcus Hale was buying one. I went somewhere I had not been in years. The old precinct. I did not go inside. I stood across the street and watched it like a grave. A familiar face stepped out, older, thinner. Tom Alvarez, my old partner. He saw me. He frowned. Then recognition hit. Jesus, he said. You look like hell. Good to see you too, I said. We went for coffee. He talked about the job, the city, new faces, old problems. I told him nothing when he paused. I asked one question. Do you know Marcus Hale? I asked. He stiffened. Why? He asked. I am curious, I said. He laughed without humor. He stays clean, Tom said. Too clean. Anyone ever tried to touch him? I asked. Anyone who did lost everything. Tom said. Careers, families, sanity. Does he want children? I asked. Tom stared. Where is this coming from? He asked. Answer the question, I said. Tom sighed. Rumors, he said. He is obsessed with legacy, bloodlines, control. I nodded. That was enough. I went home. Eliza was not there. The apartment felt hollow. I sat at the table again. I imagined the child, a life born into contracts and cameras and expectations written before breath. I imagined Eliza, trapped, watched, owned. I imagined Marcus Hale smiling. Something inside me broke free. Not anger, clarity. I knew what kind of monster he was, and I knew what kind I had to become. Not louder, not crueler, smarter. I would not take the child from her. I would give it to her, fully, completely, in a way that destroyed the cage. I took out the notebook. I began to write. A plan shaped itself. Slow, precise, legal, public, irreversible. I would expose the contract. I would transfer control. I would make Marcus Hale a donor without ownership, a father without rights, a man who paid for legacy and received anonymity. I would turn his clean system inside out. I would gift Eliza the child and gift Marcus Hale a future where every time he saw his reflection, he remembered what he lost. Outside, the rain returned. It always does. I closed the notebook. I looked at the door. Soon, I would have to tell her. Soon, there would be no turning back. And when this was over, none of us would be clean again. The plan did not feel like revenge. That was how I knew it was right. Revenge is loud. It shakes, it wants applause. This was quiet, methodical, clean in the way a surgical tray is clean before the blood arrives. I waited for the right night. Rain made it easier. Rain always covers footsteps. Eliza came home. After 9, her coat was damp. Her face was pale in a way makeup could not hide. She set her bag down. She did not take her shoes off. That told me everything. They moved the meeting up, she said. Her voice was tight, controlled. When? I asked. Tonight, she said. It already happened. I nodded. Sit down, I said. She hesitated. Then she sat. The couch creaked. The sound felt obscene in the quiet room. I took the envelope from the drawer. I placed it on the table between us. Her breath caught. You went through my things, she said. Yes, I said. Anger flashed. Then fear drowned it. You had no right, she said. I had every right, I said. You brought this into our home. She reached for the envelope. I put my hand over it. Read it with me, I said. Her eyes filled. She shook her head. I cannot, she whispered. You already did, I said. Now, you will do it honestly. I slid the pages toward her. She read. Her lips moved silently. Her hands trembled. When she reached the final page, she stopped. This is not what he said, she whispered. It never is, I said. They told me it was protection, she said. For the child. It is protection, I said, for him. She folded forward. Her hands covered her face. I just wanted to be a mother, she said. I know, I said. That was the worst part. I waited until she looked at me again. I am going to give you what you want, I said. Her eyes searched my face. Hope flickered. Dangerous, fragile. What does that mean? She asked. It means you will have a child, I said. Without him. Her breath stuttered. That is impossible, she said. It is not, I said. I told her everything. The clinic, the contracts, the loopholes, the donor clauses that could be turned against themselves if exposed to the right light. The public filings, the charities, the hypocrisy, the trust structures that could be forced open. I told her what would happen when sunlight touched his clean glass world, when journalists smelled blood beneath antiseptic, when lawyers realized there was profit in eating one of their own. She listened. Her face changed. Fear shifted into something else. Understanding what happens to him, she asked. He gets what he paid for, I said. Anonymity, distance, silence. And me, she asked. You get custody, I said. Freedom, and a lifetime reminder of how close you came to being owned. She stared at the envelope. This will destroy him, she said. It will educate him, I said. She looked at me for a long time. Who are you? She asked. The question hurt more than anything else. I am the man who loved you, I said. And the man who learned what love costs. She nodded slowly. Do it, she said. The next 48 hours unfolded like a controlled burn. Emails sent from anonymous accounts. Documents leaked to the right desks. A reporter who owed me a favor from a long time ago received a file that smelled like corruption and legacy abuse. The clinic panicked. Dr. Klein called. I did not answer. Marcus Hale called Eliza. She did not answer. Then he called me. The phone vibrated on the table. I let it ring. Then I picked up. You are making a mistake, he said. His voice was calm. Even now, no, I said. I am correcting one. You do not understand what you are dealing with, he said. I understand contracts, I said, and consequences. You think this ends well? He asked. It ends, I said. That is enough. He was silent for a moment. I can make this easier, he said. That is your problem, I said. You think everything exists to be made easy for you. His breath changed. You are stealing from me, he said. I smiled. No, I said. I am returning something you tried to steal. The line went dead. The story broke the next morning. Not with his name, not yet. First came the clinic, investigations, licenses questioned, ethics boards summoned, then the funding, then the donors. Then the name appeared, quietly, like a stain spreading through white fabric. Marcus Hale, legacy, architect, thought Dean, private eugenics, abuse of power. The words did not shout. They did not need to. He resigned from boards, then from companies, then from public life. The child clause collapsed under scrutiny. The donor agreement was voided. Eliza signed new papers, clean ones, human ones. Weeks passed. The apartment changed. It smelled warmer, less sterile, more alive. Eliza smiled sometimes, real smiles, fragile but honest. I watched her grow distant, in a different way now. Now, not hiding, preparing. One night she sat across from me at the table. I am pregnant, she said. The words landed softly. I nodded. I know, I said. She watched me. You are not angry, she said. I am finished, I said. She frowned. What does that mean, she asked. It means the gift was not forgiveness, I said. It was closure. Silence stretched. You are leaving, she said. Yes, I said. Tears came. Not dramatic, not loud, just real. I will always owe you, she said. That is the nightmare, I said gently. I did not want gratitude. I wanted balance. She reached for my hand. I let her touch it once, then I stood outside. Rain began again. The city never misses its cues. Somewhere in a glass apartment near the river, Marcus Hale watched the water move below and understood, too late, that legacy cannot be owned, only endured. And somewhere behind me, a woman held her future like a blessing that burned. The gift had been delivered. It had teeth. I left at dawn, not dramatically. No suitcase full of ghosts, just a bag with clothes and a notebook that had finally gone quiet. Eliza stood in the doorway, wrapped in a sweater that used to be mine. Her hand rested on her stomach without thinking. Instinct already rewriting her posture. We did not say much. There are conversations that solve nothing. Words become noise. We chose silence instead. It fit us better now. She asked where I was going. I will find somewhere dry, I said. She nodded. She did not ask me to stay. That hurt less than if she had. Outside, the city looked tired, like it had watched everything and learned nothing. Rain glazed the streets again. It always returned. A habit, a promise. I walked. I rented a small room above a closed tailor shop on the edge of the old district. One window, one bed, a radiator that rattled like an old witness with a cough. The air smelled like dust and steam and time. I liked it. Days passed. The news cycle chewed on Marcus Hale and spat him out as a cautionary tale. His face appeared briefly, then vanished. That is how power dies now, quietly. Without funerals, his money survived him. Money always does. His name did not. I wondered if he ever understood, not the loss of reputation, not the lawsuits, not the silence at invitation, only dinners. I wondered if he ever understood the deeper thing, that legacy cannot be engineered, that blood does not obey contracts, that control is an illusion sold to frightened men who confuse order with meaning. Sometimes, late at night, I imagined him awake in a clean apartment that no longer felt clean, watching reflections move across glass, listening to a city that no longer answered him. I hoped it hurt. I did not need to hope much. Eliza sent one message a week later. I am safe. That was all. I did not reply. Not because I was cruel, because safety was no longer my role. I walked the city, every day, miles, hours, letting rain erase the sharp edges of thought. I smelled bread from bakeries opening too early. Diesel from buses, wet concrete, cigarette smoke, clinging to coats like old habits. I listened, footsteps, snippets of arguments, laughter that sounded like it might survive the night. Nanishi, I learned something about solitude. It is not empty, it is honest. One evening, I sat by the river. The water moved slow and dark, carrying things no one claimed anymore. I took out my notebook. I turned to the last page. There was nothing left to write. Cases used to end with arrests, with statements, with certainty. This one ended with a child who would never know the cage that had been built for it, with a woman who would raise something free and always remember the price of freedom, with a man who had mistaken himself for a god and learned he was only a client, and with me, I had won. That is what people would say if they knew. They would say I was clever, ruthless, justified. They would be wrong. Winning is loud. Only from the outside. Inside, it is quiet. Winning costs you the illusion that you are better than the monsters you hunt. I had not destroyed Marcus Hale. I had outgrown him. That was the real violence. On my way back to the room, rain began again. Soft at first, then heavier. I did not hurry. Water ran down my face, into my collar, cold and real. I let it. In the mirror above the tailor shop stairs, I caught my reflection, older now, lighter, sharper, in a way that would never soften again. I did not look away. Monsters, I learned, are not born from cruelty. They are born from decisions made carefully, patiently, for reasons that make sense at the time. I had chosen. I would live with it. In the room, I turned off the light and lay on the bed. The city hummed below, alive, indifferent, somewhere. A child's heart beat for the first time, without anyone owning it. That was enough. The rain kept falling, it always does. And for the first time in a long while, I slept.